everyone. Kay Berkner here today with Dr. Tom Phelan, author and creator of 123 Magic and the author of The Manager Mom Epidemic. Dr. Phelan, welcome.
Good morning, Kay.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Good, glad to hear it. So today we are going to be talking about lying, specifically why kids lie. And what you can do about it. So Dr. Phelan, in 123 Magic, you say that there are two kinds of lies that kids tell. Can you tell us what those are?
Yeah, the first one you get from kids is, and adults, is lying to impress other people. I had a little boy I was seeing, and he was coming back to school after his summer between 5th and 6th grade, I think, and came back to school. He's telling stories about his trip to India and how he'd seen elephants and tigers and all these things. Well, it wasn't true. And the little boy wasn't crazy. He wasn't psychotic. He was just doing this for some reason. It was very strange to impress people. That's not the biggie. The biggie is most kids and adults lie to cover up a misbehavior and not to get into trouble about it. And that by far is the more common one. And it's very important if you're a parent to look at it from that perspective, because that gives you a lot of insight into also into how to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that sometimes when kids lie, it can be just such a frustrating experience as a parent, because you're like, why don't you understand that it's better to just be honest? Like, you're going to get in trouble anyway and know that you're lying.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too, if you look at parents' faces when they are in that mode, the parent's face is the reason the child's lying, because the parent is so ferocious that nobody would want to tell them the truth. You're afraid you're going to die on the spot.
Oh, that's fair. So lying seems like a stop behavior. And, in 123 Magic, we have start behaviors and we have stop behaviors. Typically for stop behaviors, we count. So should parents be using counting for lying?
Yeah, no, we don't usually use counting for lying. We'll talk later about what we do. Counting is more for the temporary thing, like arguing, yelling, whining, fighting, screaming, teasing, those things that the kids do sort of impulsively on a regular basis, and you want them to stop it. And there's nothing else involved. You just want to stop this behavior. Lying, there are other things involved, and we need to take them into account in our approach to the problem.
Got it. So Bernadette, I see your question and I am going to get to it. I have a couple more for Dr. Phelan first. So once I've gotten through those, I will definitely come back to you, I promise. Okay, so when a parent catches a child in a lie, what should you not do? We've established that the death look on your face is not a good thing. What should parents not be doing if they do catch their child lying?
There are two things really. One is, don't ask impulsive questions like, why did you do that? Sort of yelling it, or what's the matter with you, or something like that. The other thing you don't want to do is to corner the kids. And this is a parental favorite. Parents love to do this. And so you suspect something's up. And so you're going to ask the kid what happened, often in an aggressive manner. But you're trying to accomplish two things. In one way, you're trying to get information about what happened and who did what. The other thing is you are trying to catch the kid lying, and you're going to try and test them to see if they will tell the truth. Well, with that ferocious look on your face, 90% of the time, the kids are going to try and get out of it if they think they have any chance at all of doing that. So don't ask impulsive questions and don't corner the kids.
So then what should parents be doing, either if they've caught their child in a lie or if they suspect that their child might be lying? What are the steps they should take?
Yeah. So something happened, you don't like it, that something's missing or something got broken or whatever. And so if you suspect that, the child may be lying or whatever, you ask yourself the question, do you know what happened or do you not know what happened? And if you don't know what happened, you ask the child for information, okay? And you accept what they say. And if at some time later you find out that they lied, then you can consequence them for the lie as well as maybe for the misbehavior that they were lying about. if you do know what happened, don't corner them. Don't ask them to tell you about what happened if you already know what it is. Now, you could say if the school called and said your son got into a fight at lunch, you could say, Johnny, I heard you got into a fight with somebody at lunch. I want you to tell me the story, but keep in mind, I already talked to the assistant dean, Mr. Pasquini, and I have some idea of what happened. So if you know that they already did it and say they broke a lamp or something like that, you just say, ask them what happened. And if it's a first offense, we don't usually consequence. If it's a repeated offense, then we get more into consequencing, the behavior. And if it's lying about something like homework, that's I didn't do my homework, that's the misbehavior they don't want to get in trouble for. And they're lying about homework, say every day, you need a new homework system to get rid of the lie, but also take care of homework. So try and fix the problem that's being lied about if you can.
Got it. So you've mentioned consequencing behaviors a couple of times. What are some of the consequences that you recommend for lying?
Yeah, we do groundings, fines, chores, community service, that kind of thing in reasonable amounts. And we don't do grounding for a year or 6 months or no electronics for 3 months. A lot of parents, you get so mad that that's what you want to do. So don't do things like that. Your groundings, fines for stuff that in little bitty pieces. So a fine might be for a 10-year-old, maybe $5, or they can write an educational paper on how it's good to get your homework done on time or whatever you want to do. But you want to keep it kind of friendly, and there's a consequence, but then it's over with.
Right. Proportionate to the crime.
Yeah.
I remember when I was, I don't know, I was maybe 14 or 15, and I was allowed to go to a concert with some friends. And, I took my mom's cell phone with me because I didn't have a cell phone at this point in time. This was quite some time ago. And it got stolen. Now, it legitimately got stolen. It's not that I lost it and lied about it, but it got stolen. And so my consequence was I had to pay to buy my mom a new phone. So that was like, I felt like that was and I felt like that was fair, even at 14. Like, I thought that was totally fair. I took your phone and I was responsible for it, and it got stolen while it was in my charge, and now I have to pay to replace it. So, I thought that was a great example of kind of punishment for the crime.
No, that's a reasonable restitution, they sometimes call it, and you're making up for it. And if you're old enough to do that in some reasonable way, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, terrific. So we've got a couple of questions from people who are live with us. Bernadette is asking for advice on a child who has ADHD and is having some trouble in school. So she said that her son lies that he's okay in class, but school says that he's not okay at all. For instance, he lied today that when he was made pupil of the day, or he lied today and said that he was made pupil of the day, but in truth, he was actually made to sit in the back of the class for the day and also told to sit in the hallway, and that the school says that other kids are laughing at him. So, in this case, it sounds like maybe the lie is sort of the flip side of wanting to impress people. It's maybe not wanting to feel embarrassed. So what can Bernadette be doing in this situation?
Yeah, there may be a little bit of the impress people, but I think it's more of the cover up kind of thing. And I think there's two things you could do. You could work out he's in real school, face to face, you could work out a daily sheet with the teacher where the teacher sends a note home and about, specific, how well do you pay attention? Did he get in any trouble? What did he do well? What are his strengths, for that day, and things like that. And that helps eliminate the other thing. The other thing is, if he's ADHD, remember I said, fix the problem. Part of the problem here is ADHD in school. And I don't know if it sounds like the kid may have been evaluated or to get.
Yeah, Bernadette says that he's 10 now. He was diagnosed with ADHD at age 5. She says he's very bright with a great imagination, very imaginative lies, but lacks confidence in school and is always getting in trouble.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would look at the medication. It sounds like it may need to be adjusted. He may not be on medication, which is not a good thing. And if not, you need to look at medication. And sometimes as the kids get older, a real common thing we found over the years is they put on weight. And as they put on weight, they need higher doses of medication to maintain their self-control during the day. So this kid looks like he may be, and the other thing that works with ADHD, remember we're talking about fix the problem so the lies aren't necessary. The other thing that helps is teacher training, because there are a lot of things teachers can do to deal with ADHD kids in school that are helpful.
Got it. And I believe that Bernadette is in the UK, I think, since she said that he lied today. So my guess is it might be the end of their day there. And you had mentioned on a previous live that they're a good resource for anyone who's in the UK. Can you remind us of what that is? If
Yeah,
anyone is
it used to be, and I hope it still is. It's ADDISS. It's Attention Deficit Disorder Information Systems, or ADD Information Systems. Andrea Bilbo, Bilbow, was a gal who's running it. I know they've run into some hard times with COVID and stuff, so I'm not sure what sort of state they're in right now. But that is used to be available over there.
terrific. Okay, we also have a question from Kimberly who asks, what about the child lying that he's sick just because he doesn't want to go to school?
Okay. Yeah, well, so that's a good example. And so if he's sick and he doesn't want to go to school, what's the problem? The problem is the child is anxious about going to school. And so the question is, why is he anxious about going to school, and what are we going to do about that? And so again, this may be one where it's really helpful to talk to the teacher, but also talk to the child and do what we call in 1, 2, 3 magic, sympathetic or active listening. So tell me what makes it hard for you to go to school? Instead of just beating them on the head and say, you got to go to school, you got to go to school, say, what about school makes you feel uncomfortable? And see if you can get to the bottom, talk to the teacher, see if the teacher notices things and so on. And then what you need to do is set up a morning routine. I've done this with lots and lots of kids over the years, where we, we get them up and we don't argue with them about going to school. Okay, we have a process that they do, and we coordinate this with the school. So the school knows the child's coming, and we're not going to argue about is he sick or is he not sick. We used to use with some kids a 1 degree temperature reading. If your temperature was up 1 degree from 98.6, you stay home. If it's under that, you don't stay home. Now you can imagine kids putting the thermometer. I think we had one kid who his temperature was 115, I think, because he put the thermometer under the faucet. But usually you can work that kind of stuff out. But thinking these are both good examples. Interesting, they both involve school. But think of, okay, there's a lie going on. What's the problem underneath it? Let's fix the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So Melissa says that her son is ADHD, ODD, and constantly lies about hitting, spitting, and instigating fights with his younger brother. So again, this sounds like lying to avoid getting in trouble. The son in question is 7 and the younger brother is 4.
Yeah. Well, if you look at our rules in 1, 2, 3 magic for sibling rivalry, it means when the kids are fighting, you can count both of them unless one is the obvious unprovoked aggressor. And many times that'll be the child with ADHD. And so if they're unprovoked aggressor, and the other one didn't do anything, okay, you can count them. And then if they start arguing with you, you just keep counting. If they hit a 3, then there's going to be, consequence. There's going to be rest period or whatever. And I'll go back to the medication thing too. The research shows that medication and behavior management both work. So if you have a child with ADHD, you need to be a professional parent. And it means you need to be knowledgeable about medication as it applies to your child. And you also have to have routines for sibling rivalry, bedtime, homework, and all that kind of stuff. And just nagging a kid is not a routine. Today's ADHD in the Valley, I guess, here, because we're getting a lot of school and ADHD questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So one more ADHD question, and then we're going to move on to a different topic. But, you've mentioned a couple of times that educating the teacher, talking to the teacher can be useful. Bernadette has asked, is there a simple idea or guide that parents can bring to teachers to help them understand what the child's challenges are and how they can be dealt with in the classroom?
Yeah, if the child has had an evaluation for ADHD, And somebody had to do it. Some professional had to do it. And there are guides. If you go on to the chad.org site, chadd.org, you'll find a lot of information for parents and teachers. And also, if there's a professional who did the evaluation, they may have information about that they could share with the school. And if you're a parent, and one of the most powerful interventions to do with a child with ADHD is to go into the school with the professional who did the evaluation and talk to the teacher and sometimes the principal. You go in just as a single mom or or even as two parents, you don't have the power. You go in with a professional who knows ADHD, you'll get a lot done. So it's a wonderful thing to do. You have to pay the person to go with you, but it really helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. So not school related, but Megan says, my son is 7 and still poops in his pants. He lies to us when we ask him if he poops. The smell or the feeling doesn't bother him. I'm at a loss. What do I do?
Okay, and again, a good example. What's the problem here? The problem is encopresis, which is pooping in your pants, and you'll need some professional help. Encopresis can be very difficult to deal with, and you need a system. It's not just asking them, "Did you poop in your pants?" after you smell it. You need somebody to help you with encopresis. It's harder than enuresis to deal with. The peeing is easier to deal with than the pooping, especially when you get to be older ages. So don't just rely on asking them, did you poop in your pants or how you doing or something. You need a system to deal with that.
And where should Megan start to find that kind of, like, should she ask a pediatrician for recommendation?
Yeah, you can ask the pediatrician, I got a problem. And the pediatrician may have some suggestions too. Say, but we got a problem with encopresis. We need a daily, gentle, supportive system for dealing with it. Where do we go? And sometimes the school has recommendations, but I'd start with the pediatrician.
Okay, terrific. I see that we did get a question about bedtime in the comments here. So Kara, I'm going to have Dr. Phelan come back around and answer your question in the comment when we're done here, just so we can stay on topic with the video. Thank you so much, Dr. Phelan, for this. Thank you to everyone who joined us live. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please feel free to tag them in the comments or share this video with them. If you haven't already, head on over to 123magic.com to get signed up for our newsletter. We send out weekly parenting tips, downloadables, and more. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.